This is member-supported KUNV HD2 Las Vegas, the broadcast service of UNLV.
Yeah, that was something else, I tell you. Having a grand time today. It is Thursday. Is it Thursday? No, we're Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. One of those days, it's actually Sunday. Just about 3 o'clock on the top of the hour on the 21st of July. I hope everybody celebrated the landing of the lunar landing. 1969, that's 50 years ago. What's really sad is if you were around when it happened, you're old. And yes, I was, 11 years old? Almost 12? So that makes me an old man. I am glad everybody is joining me today here on Facebook and also online on the other channels across the country. Thank you very much for joining. It is Air America. My name is Russell Mays. We are going to have a grand time, and I'm going to make people mad today, maybe. But that's okay. I think everybody likes to get mad once in a while. So, it is listener-supported 91.5, the Rebel HD2, KUNLV, Las Vegas, Nevada, the broadcast services of UNLV right here on campuses. Phone number 702-895-3915. And how are we going to start this show off today? Well, the list is long, and it's hard. Everybody knows pretty much my position on many things. Oh, got to bring up one thing. This heat wave that's going on, especially on the East Coast, make sure your friends and family are doing well. I know the temperature here in Las Vegas is 106 degrees, but we're used to it, and we don't have the humidity. Back on the East Coast, temperatures is like 100 degrees with the humidity, so that is just killer weather. People have died already, so please, take care of friends and family. If they're a little bit on the aged side, bring them on over. Take them out to a restaurant. Sit in a movie theater for a while. Take them out to your car and turn the air conditioner on. Anything you can do just to stay cool. That's the main thing. Staying cool and calm, so that makes life good that way. So, now, turning ourselves to staying cool and calm, I do believe that people have gone off the absolute deep end. And a good example of what I mean by the deep end and how stupid people are and I'm part of this too. Sometimes I get so brain dead that I become stupid too. You lose your mind. You just take your brain out and go plop right on the ground. Pfft, there it is. So, and one of the things is I happened to be, I was following the moon landing a lot. and all the, stuff that went on. 400,000 people it took to put a man on the moon. Think about that, people. 400,000 people over almost a 10-year span of time. That's incredible. That is a lot of work. And they did that without cell phones, okay? And everybody knows that your desktop little calculator has more computing ability than what the entire NASA program did. So they actually had to do math. And it was, can you imagine trying to do that math with the new curriculum, the core curriculum they have out there with that new math? You make a box, and then you put this number here, and you move this number over here, and that's just to add. They had to do calculus and algebra and geometry and all this in a split second to get a lot of these problems done. And they did a good job. Nowadays, it's, boom, you pop it up on your phone, boop, 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 you got it. There you go. But what really gets me is my brother just came on and said, "Not you, ah." Anyway, having a good time today. But just think about when they landed on the moon, the things that had to happen for them to land on the moon, to actually get it right. They had 17 seconds left of fuel to find a spot to touch down, or they would have crashed. That takes some cojones. Do you realize that? The cojones that they had to have to actually land on the moon. Not knowing you're going to get off. You could have been, a couple of bodies up there ever since. No way. Even if that happened, there was no way for them to go up and get them and bring them back. That kind of thing. That's how gutsy we were as Americans. And yes, Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin were the ones that walked on the moon first. They took that risk. They said, hey, let's go ahead and do this. They stepped out there. They did their thing. They learned how we did it. We got up there. We sent a bunch more people up there. But it's still an amazing accomplishment. So what made me even more amazed, I love this. Folks, you gotta YouTube or Google this. Buzz Aldrin punching that guy, the anarchist. Unbelievable video. I love it. It made me so American. It made me so happy that he did that. It was like this guy was being a jerk, a serious jerk to Buzz Aldrin. He's walking in the street with his wife. Just a carefree day and everything else. And you could tell this was, a couple of years ago, where these you didn't land on the moon people, and it's all fake and phony and all that kind of stuff type of people. But you gotta Google it, because this guy was harassing Buzz a lot. Just in his face, calling him a liar, calling him a fake, demanding that he retract everything that happened with the space program, all this. And I'm telling you, it's on video, it's beautiful, it's gorgeous. Buzz reels back and punches the guy straight in the face. Boom! Lays him out. That was a moment in my life. It was just absolutely wonderful. And I was talking about this with some people, and people that weren't around during the moon landing. And they said, well, that's violent. How can somebody that was in NASA and representing our country actually go to violent like that? It's because he was standing up for this country. He did something that took a lot of work, effort, people, trust. Huge thing. Can you imagine if you had one of these idiot Antifa people? Well, they wouldn't be able to work on the spacecrafts anyhow. But the people that did work on it, you had to trust everybody with every turn of the bolt put the nut on, screw, make sure everything was connected. All that, the learning experience, the astronauts that died in the train when they were testing out the capsule, Grissom and a couple of them, they died in there because they filled the capsule full of oxygen to pressure test it. And there was a short in the electrical, and it caught fire. They were dead right away. Boom. That's the kind of risk they were willing to take to betterment of man. And everyone goes, oh, betterment of man. Oh, betterment of man. That's all they do is talk about it. You wouldn't have a cell phone today if we didn't go land on the moon. You wouldn't have your GPS on your car or in your cell phone if we didn't go to the moon. You wouldn't have any of the stuff that you're using today. All that technology came from the moon NASA programs. Some of it came from the military also, but it was all used to put a man on the moon. Now look what we have. We have satellites that's circling the moon, taking pictures and doing tests all the time. We have satellites around the planet. We have a space station. Thank God we're going to get our own vehicle back up there to take our own people up there. How ridiculous was that of Obama to shut down the NASA program? Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Shut it right down. Then we had to hop a ride with Russia all this time, with Russia playing all their games, which, hey, we're going to blow you up, but come on, ride along with us. Let's get going. That's a little tense there, I guess. But anyway. And then good old Vice President Pence said that we're going back to the moon in 5 years. That's awesome. That is way too cool. So I hope everybody is behind the NASA program, getting up there. 50 years ago yesterday. 50. Think about that. 50 years ago, we landed on the moon. About, let's say, 58 years ago. That's when John Kennedy said we make it a decision to go to the moon and return that man back to Earth safe again. Not because it's easy, but because it's hard. That's when America was America. America! Urgh, America! We decide to do something because we are Americans. Even today, if you think about it, even today, we develop so many new technologies for our world. The world depends on what we develop. Granted, and then we give it away to them. Whether they steal it from us, or they buy it from us, or whatever it may be. Do you really, honest to God, think about this. Now, I know these are a lot of transitions going on because my brain has got so much stuff going on here I got to get to. But most of the embassies of the world is in New York, United Nations, and in Washington. That's where the embassies are from all the countries and everything else. Russia's embassy is in Silicon Valley, California. Now, isn't that odd? They are sitting smack dab in our inventive area. They might be a bunch of, well, then again, maybe the Russians do want to change the mindset to a socialism, then to communism, and they've got to be there where it happens, where they're developing all this technology, so they get it, and then they change California to a liberal state, and away you go. So there you go. But that's where our thing is we are such an advancement of people, of this planet. We make life better. The difference between the United States and all other countries is we allow our people to better their lives the way they see fit. Many countries, even in England, hey, you can't do that. You can't live this way. You got to live like this. There's a little bit of controls on that. The United States, the Constitution, and our founding fathers and what they did was unbelievable. They turned around and said, no more. They looked through history and saw the way all the other countries are run. And they discovered that if people are allowed to develop their own life the way they see fit, our country will prosper beyond life's imaginations. Think about that. We're 250 years, 260 years old, give or take a few years? And we went from paddling across the ocean 4 months crammed in a boat to landing a man on the moon, to building a space station where men and women are living there for the longest time. So I'm going to throw this in. Nobody has brought up the fact that a man and a woman has been living on the space station for a long time. Nobody's asked them about sex yet. I'm waiting for that day to come to find out what it's like to have sex in an ungravity place in space. Do they have special protection? Is there spacesuit, right? Yeah, I just had to throw that in. But nobody's ever talked about that. They mention it once in a while, and how do you go to the potty and all that kind of stuff. No. It's happened. If they try to figure out, I'm telling you, what do you mean? Yes, what about sex is right? How do they do it in space? Do they bounce off the walls? Do they have to have a special harness to harness themselves together with little springs to bounce around? I bet you it's a good S&M program. I don't know. So anyway, I've always thought about that when they're up there in space. Who was the first person? How would you like to have an honor like that? Monica Lewinsky was the first in the Oval Office to get caught. So who would have the honor of getting nookie on the space station? Or I'm sure they did it before the space station with Skylab, and I'm sure the Russians had their space station too, that kind of thing. So anyway, I tell you, our world is so whacked, but it's good. Now, how do we move on from a good talk about sex in space? It sounds like some kind of a new movie coming out. Sex in Space. Mel Brooks do that. Something like that. Things that have made me mad in the media today. Many things have made me mad. One of the things that really upsetted me a little bit was during the whole promotion of the astronauts walking on the moon, 50-year celebration, this kind of thing. I happen to, because I have, at my home, I have a home studio, and I watch all the channels, of course, Fox, CNN, OAN is One American News Network, which is a new conservative truth-telling station. You might want to check that out. I'm not being paid to promote them, so OAN, ABC, CBS, NBC, MSNBC, CNN. I flip through them all just to see what they're talking about. None of them, except for the conservative right stations, actually brought up and talked about the moon landing. The other ones barely gave it any mention. All they talked about was the squad. Ooh, and how much they hate Trump. I don't know why they hate Trump so much. I have been okay. I wear my Trump shirt a lot. just to see how many people will ask me about it and how many people get mad about it. And some do, some don't. Some people don't even give it any acknowledgement. The people that hate it, actually, this actually happened to me. I had a shirt that says, the best part about waking up is knowing that President Trump is still our president, or Donald Trump is still our president. And it's a cool shirt. It looks cool, sort of takes off on the coffee commercial type thing, which is really cool. I wore that to one of the casinos one night. Just, I just like to stir the pot a little bit just to see what kind of people are out there actually paying attention to what's going on. And as I'm walking down the row, coming in the door basically is where it happened, from the parking lot into the casino. This husband and wife were walking out, and they looked at that, and I see, it was about the weather. I says, wow, it's getting pretty hot out there. It's like in an oven. He points at my shirt, and they said, you better throw him in the oven too. And I says, why? I love this man. He's the best man. This man's face turned so evil red, about the red color of this light here on the microphone. He got so mad. He didn't say, when I said I love that man, he got so mad at me that there was literal smoke coming out of his ears. And I thought to myself, what kind of answer did he expect from me? I'm wearing a pro Donald Trump shirt. And he makes a comment to kill this man. And I defended him. And that made him so mad. He didn't ask me anything. He didn't say nothing. He's an evil man. He did this, he did that, he did that. Nothing. All he said was throw him in an oven. And I said, I love this man. That was the total conversation. And you could tell he melted the doors going out of the casino. He was so furious. I bet you his entire day was ruined. That sort of makes me feel cool, though. Unbelievable. How can anybody be that mad at a human being? I can... You run into another human being, and just a word, you've got all these judgments and all these preconceived notions of somebody. First off, nobody knows. Him or I do not know President Trump at all. We do not know the man. We just know his history. That's all we know. And we also know what the media is saying about him, good or bad. That's our extent of our knowledge. Even here on Facebook, a lot of my videos have been banned on Facebook and connected to my website. That's why I'm live on it now, because I can go live. But anything that I post, because I'm doing video over here, so I can put it on my website and stuff. But they blocked all my links to my website because it's a conservative website. I had to do some testing on that to find out who was seeing it and who wasn't. And I'm just looking here, and there's a lot of people online now saying, hello, how do you do? So Facebook has banned my website from being posted to my Facebook account. So there you go. Some of the memes that I post that I thought were pretty funny were censored a little bit. They're not censoring me as shutting me down, but they're censoring me in the way I post things. So my Twitter account hasn't been censored yet. So my Twitter account still gets popular with everything that's going on there. But if you get it out there, so I thought, well, let me go ahead and bring in and do a live spot on Facebook and do my show live. What the heck? That'll be the only way to do it. Anyway, that's what we're doing. So neither here nor there. So anyway, getting back to the guy that was so bent out of shape over Trump and Trump being our president. I mean, let's face it. Since when I served in the service, I served under President Carter. He was my commander in chief. What? Even me being young, naive, and stupid as it goes as a kid, just learning about what life is about, knew there was something wrong with the way he was running the country. That he wasn't actually doing. He was presumably a smart man, still is, I guess, but he wasn't allowed to do what he wanted to. And then Ronald Reagan came along and did great things. But the whole thing about it is they were all politicians. And since then, all I heard for years and years and years and years that we needed to have a businessman get in charge of our country. That would make things different. That's all I heard. Businessman, businessman, businessman. Now we've got a businessman. And all I hear is, well, he's not a politician. He's not presidential enough. And it's funny, if you look back through even a statement by Hillary Rodham Clinton even said way back when, you should run for president. You'd make a good president. Until he beat the pantsuit off of her. Okay, so that is saying a lot there. So with as much strife as this man gets on a daily basis, and a lot of it is just pure lies, complete lies. You can do the research and look up 90% of the stuff that the media is saying about him, and you can punch holes in it all day long. They do not care. Their main function is to get this man out of office. So, and they hate it when he's right. And he's right so much of the time. And he knows how to push their buttons. It's with his squad. And who is it? AOC. Let me make sure I get all their idiot names right. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Ilmar Omar, Anaya Presley, Rashida Tlaib. These four people are calling them the squad. And because, first off, they're young. My age when I was under Carter. I didn't know anything. Second off, they don't know anything except for what was presented in the news. Okay. They got elected because they were helped because they needed women of color by the Democratic Party. What the Democratic Party didn't realize that they were seriously radical women. And they had the views of socialism. And they learned the Democratic playbook very, very well. As you can tell, the Democratic playbook is, if they do not agree with you, you call them a racist. And the reason why they say that's a racist is because it shuts the conversation down. So, let me pop over here and do this real quick event here. Hang on one second, folks.
Is looking for individuals to work part-time with the upcoming 2020 census. Information and application details at 2020census.gov/jobs.
And doing the Census Bureau, isn't that funny that popped up since they won't let the citizenship question on the census. Unbelievable. The question, that takes me into a whole new tangent. It really does. Just off the deep end. So anyway, 4 women of color. 4 women of different viewpoints of religion. 4 women that have not even served as a representative for a year yet. They have not been in office a year yet. They have never done anything. But yet their opinions being voiced. And the reason is because when they started spewing their crap, and I do mean it was crap that they're spewing, the Democratic Party allowed them to do that because they were using it as a way to get at Trump. What they didn't realize is they could care less about Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer. And now they'd let the genie out of the bottle, or open Pandora's box, if you will. Now they have become the Democratic Party. Ever since these 4 have gotten together and started spewing their hate of America, and yes, they should go home. Go back to Queens or wherever they came from and relearn history of what our country is about. Ilmar Omar, or however it's Ilhan Omar, she should go back to her own country. I'm sorry. If you don't like this country and you hate it so much, why are you living here? Why would you... All right, let's put it this way. They're calling out people on the border, the refugees, as being put in concentration camps. They're calling ICE as Nazi stormtroopers. They're berating this country day in and day out. People come here claiming asylum to get away from their country, presumably of the horrors in their country. If our country is that bad, why do these people want to come to a country that's horrid, that treats their people badly? If they think this country is so bad, why don't they go to Venezuela? Why don't they go to Mexico and live? Why don't they go to some of these other countries that really do need to have their country straightened around to make a life for their people? Why are you here? What are you going to do? All of them have done nothing to help the American way. If they think it's so bad, what kind of bills have they presented? What kind of policies do they want to run? They want health care for us. They want the Green New Deal. Please. Are you kidding me? How are you going to achieve that? What is their game plan to get there? All they do is just spew and spew and spew. Homan, when he was being trashed by AOC, it was the best thing in the world. He shut her down completely. The woman did not know any of the information that he or she was accusing him of doing. He turned around and shot it right back at her, shut her down, because these women, they might be smart, they might have a brain on them, I have no idea. But somebody's writing their stuff, and when they have to go off script, just like Obama did, couldn't do it. If somebody doesn't write their material for them, they're as dumb as a box of rocks. All of them. Complete dumb as a box of rocks. And there's a lot of politicians out there like that, both Democrats and Republicans. Dumb as a box of rocks. Can you imagine when they voted on censoring Trump's tweet about send them back, or they should go back to where they were because it was racist? Are you kidding me? You mean to tell me that they got our politicians together? What is there, 457 of them or whatever there is in there, representatives, and voted on this kind of action? Are you serious? The guy pushed the issue about impeachment. They voted it down. They're not going to impeach Trump because they have nothing on him. I'm waiting for the Mueller turn to come around. When Mueller gets there on the 24th, oh, this is going to be a heyday. And you're going to see the press go completely nuts on that. Anyway, I digress. But then again, I digress a lot. All I know... I love it. I love it. Great comment, Stephanie. That was great. I love it. She tweets back and not tweets back, Facebook back, says actually rocks are much more useful and intelligent. It's so true. They really are. I mean, hey, that's a good one. Let's bring back the pet rocks. We have 4 of them now. Pet rocks that'll you come with instructions how to set them up in front of a camera and how you have to water them every day and make sure they're out of the sun, they don't get heat stroke or anything else. And then you can have Chuck and Nancy as their rock box, I guess, if you want to call it that. Oh, that's a great idea. That's awesome. So, but... Well, They bring up this racist thing. All the Democrats and the lefties always do this. And it's been brought up to me. As a matter of fact, it was brought up to me on Facebook. And that's why I brought it into the show today, was racism. Because when I see somebody post a meme calling everybody a racist or insinuating the white people are racist, being posted by a white person makes that person that posts these memes the racist. And that's what I've come to the conclusion, that if somebody gets in your face and says, when you say, I love Donald Trump, and then they turn around and say, you're a racist, what's true is they're the racist. Because they are the ones that are forcing you to make a decision to shut up and obey their point of view and not yours. So without even listening to what you have to say or how you say it or your point of views to why certain people are the way they are, the first thing they do is bring up the word racist. And it's gotten used so much out of context, the power of the word is becoming mundane. It's not worth it anymore because it's being used so much, nobody's going to hear it. And when you have to use it, when you truly get into a racist person, it's not going to have an effect anymore. But the only people that it has an effect on are our politicians. They are so afraid of that word that they will kowtow both sides. Look what happened to Nancy Pelosi when AOC called her a racist. She bent over and allowed them to do what they want. She didn't want to be called a racist. They hate being confronted with their own issues. That's why the Squad is being so popular right now with the media press, is because they are using the same tactics that the left has been using against everybody else. But since these 4 do not play games with the Democrats either, they're using their material against them. Anyway, just so we know what's happening here. Racism, it's a noun. I got it straight out of Wikipedia. You got to be even be careful about Google now. If you start Googling things about... I'll give you an example of what happened to me when I was Googling this. I'm using a VPN now, which means you've got to start doing stuff like this because people are, doing, I don't want to get too paranoid, but it stopped all the advertisements coming to my site and all that was great. It really did. It really helped out a lot. Anyway, I Googled racism and Google stopped and posted one of those, criteria, are you a human type thing? And of course I had to put it in, click, are your car, or do you see a light, or whatever, to prove that you're a human. And that's because I'm using a VPN, and they don't trust it if you're not a human. So they want to use that advertising, but still with a VPN. And I vouch for VPNs. I really do. They're really cool. So anyway, I typed in racism, and Google tried to block it because they couldn't see where it was coming from. So anyway, it states here, prejudice, discrimination, or anti something antagonism. I have to look it up. Antagonism directed against someone of a different race based on the belief that one's own race is superior. A program to combat racism. Yep, there goes the lights again. They have these auto lights in the studio. I can't see my mouth running off at the lips. The belief that all members of each race possesses characteristics or abilities specific to that race, especially so as to distinguish it as inferior or superior to another race or races. Theories of racism. Okay, so that's the definition of it, which means basically it did not say skin color. Did you notice that? That's the definition of it. Even in their whole issue of discerning prejudice, discrimination, antagonism against someone that's different, race-based, or belief that one's race is superior. So they didn't get into it. They homogenized it, the whole definition. They're afraid of all this PC BS that's going on. Let's put it this way. If you're a racist, and you know you're a racist, you will actually show it in your actions and your lifestyle. If you truly hate another person for whom they are. If you're not a racist and you try to present it as, hey, I'm not a racist, so I'm going to go out and call everybody else a racist, yes, you're a racist. I'm sorry, I see a lot of that. They're so afraid to be called a racist that they become a racist by presenting and trying to protect the racist ideal. It's rampant on Facebook. Huge. People are trying to call everybody a racist. And I'm sorry. White people can be racist against white people. Black people can be racist against black people. Brown people can be racist against brown people. Asian people or yellow people can be racist against yellow people. Red people can be racist against red people. Everybody is a racist. And I think where they're losing it at is it's prejudice. And prejudice is a prejudging of a person. And I hate to tell you this, there are 7 billion people on this planet. Everybody judges everybody. It does not matter. If you meet a person for the very first time, you will judge that person. And think about certain things that there. Example, I ran across this gentleman the other day. And big guy. Wow. He stood like 6 foot, or actually taller than that. He was pushing 6'8", I guess. And probably about 400 pounds. He was big. But he also was, I'm sorry to say this, in my book, he was ugly. I mean, in my book, somebody hit this poor guy with an ugly stick. And he had a face that only a mother could love. And you could tell, and he was an older gentleman, and you could tell he's gone through life like this. He'd be the kid that when you were in school, that you'd be pushing down a flight of stairs just because of the way they looked. That is prejudice. That is also racism. If you think about it, if you're judging somebody on the way somebody looks, ugly or skin color, it's the same thing. Once you get to know these people, you ever hear that statement? Oh, once I got to know them, they're the greatest person in the world. Why didn't you give them that benefit of the doubt at the first time out? Think about it. Why is it when somebody comes up to you and wants to say, hello, how do you do, and shake your hand, you go screaming down the road? Why? Well, what is it with this? But since this has gotten to be such a weapon, and they call it weaponizing the word racism, especially within our political entourage, no matter what happens, they call our president a racist. And I have yet, and I challenge everybody that does that to me, and I challenge everybody out there right now, what has he done to make you think he's a racist? Till this day, nobody can answer that question for me. What has he done? You know, and the biggest response, I was talking to a lady and she was Muslim. And we were talking about it, and of course I had my Trump shirt on. And she was very open-minded. And she told me she was a Christian now. And I didn't get into it. But I had the opportunity right then to say, why would you deny your religion that way? You know, if you go back to what country you came from, they'd kill you because you changed from Islam to Christianity. Why would somebody do that? Not to say it's good, bad, or indifferent. I didn't go there. And because it was her choice to do this. If she wants to live her life in a different worldview of whatever she wants to believe, that's fine. Knock it out of the park, rock and roll. But when you start prejudging people, I think what's more offensive than being a racist or whatever is being somebody that's offended by somebody else who is offended by something. You know, the people that go along with the crowd, oh, I've got to be offended by this because so-and-so is offended by this. Those type of people that are offended by memes or somebody says something on the news, oh, that offends me. Why would they say that? Oh, that's because Billy Joe down the street is offended by it, so now I have to be offended by it. That means you can't think for yourself. So, anyway. Let's see what else it says. There is a lot of false racism and there's true racism. And we're seeing a lot of false racism on the news media. Simple as that. So, what do? And it says here, racism, also called racialism, an action, practice, or belief that reflects the racial worldview, the idolatry that humans may be divided into separate and exclusive biological entities called races. That there is a causal link between inherited physical traits and traits of personality, intellectually, morality, and other cultural and behavioral features, that some races are innately superior to others. Since the late 20th century, the notion of biological race has been recognized as a cultural inventation entirely without scientific base. That's a bunch of crap. Okay. Most of I'll give you an example. Let's take the blacks, for instance. If you go down to Crenshaw in Los Angeles, you'll get the hood speak and the hood actions. If you go to England and meet a black person, you're going to get a totally different type of person. Completely. So, what is it about that? It's not the fact that it's the race. It's where and how you were raised by the people around you. You have to survive in your culture that you have been born into, if you will. And if you don't have the guts to get out of that scenario, I mean, let's take MS-13. Very radical gang of doing a lot of bad stuff. But they will go and make it unable for any of their members to get out of that world. And what I mean by that is when you tattoo your entire body from top to bottom, and I have nothing against tattoos. You can do whatever you want to. That's perfectly fine. But when you tattoo MS-13 on your face, you will be an MS-13 gang member until the day someone else kills you. That'll be your lifestyle. But if you respect yourself enough and you want to venture into a new world of life, you will have to get out of that life that you're in and go to the new life. Simple as that. When I left the military, that military life that I was in, I left all my friends, everybody that I knew, my camaraderie, everything. And when I went back home, they always told us in boot camp, you'll never be able to go back home. And it's true. So when I went back home, I didn't know anybody. I had people that I knew when I was in school, great people, fantastic people, but I couldn't go back. I had a taste of the world that was out there. What's going on? What does this world have for us? What can I do to build up and present myself to the world? A lot of people thought I was funny. Well, I'm still funny. But anyway. But what do you do to betterment of world? There's people out there that donate their time to charities to help people out. Awesome thing to do. And then there's people that won't even give $1 to any of their charities out there because they think it's ripping them off, and they'll find some reason not to do that. It's all part of all this. It's part of the squad and them trashing our America the way it is. They have something beautiful going on here. You have people doing some great things, but yet all they can do is tear it down. Why? Why can't they see the good that's in this world of all people? So I was getting at that guy that was really, really ugly. Shake his hand, got to know him. His name was Dave. Hey, Dave, how's it going? Funny man. Absolutely hilariously funny. But people treated him like dirt because of the way he looked. So what are you going to give there? You can see this. There's a lot of videos out there. There's one particular video that's hilarious. It's really sad. If you probably have seen it. It's this lady. She's walking up the street, and she sees this black guy walking towards her. She steps aside, and you can see that she's doing it to avoid him. As she steps aside, a car comes in and destroys the car on a telephone pole. She literally saved her life by stepping around this pole to avoid this black guy coming down through. The car smashes, they look and everything else. Oh my God. And you can tell that everybody's standing there, the black guy and the woman and everybody's going, oh. After it was all said and done, she still stepped to the side and gave that man a little bit of space. That, my friend, is a racist. That person that has so much disdain for a person without even knowing that person is a racist. So when somebody like AOC or Omar or Presley or Tlaib start calling our president a racist, and they have no idea what he's about, they do not know the man, they have never had a chance to know the man, they refuse to know the man, but yet they go on national TV and trash the man and trash our country for no reason at all. Same thing with the women's soccer team. I'm sorry. I think it was fantastic that they won. But the day their captain knelt to the national anthem and then stood up and trashed the United States while wearing the U.S. emblems on her uniform, she can kiss my backside. I'm sorry. That was the last I watched the women's soccer. I could care less if they win. I do not care if they go to the White House. I do not care. The only one that came through that whole issue was when they were doing that little dance and that woman dropped the American flag on the ground. The other teammate came up and grabbed it and took care of the American flag. It's our symbol. It is who we are. And if you want to kneel on it, if you want to burn it, fine, do it. Why don't you, I will back you all day long on burning the American flag. I will back you. As long as you do one thing. You take an ISIS flag, or you take an Iranian flag, or you take a Russian flag, or you take a Chinese flag and go to their country and do the exact same thing to their flag. See what happens. Then you'll understand what freedom is. These four people, the squad, have no idea what freedom is. Omar is the worst about this. She's the only one of the four that actually immigrated from another country. She gets here, even with all her controversy, presumably marrying her brother or doing tax frauds and all these accusations that are coming through, whether they can prove them or not doesn't matter. The thing is she came here and she did what it took to become a congresswoman in the United States. Nowhere else in the world can you do that. Nowhere. But she comes and does this and then turns around and gains power in the Congress and then destroys and tries to trash our country? Is she doing this because she wants to trash our country? She wants to turn it into a socialist society? She wants it to become communist? Why is that? Why is she trashing a country and loving another country that abuses women the way they do? Why is she afraid to take her hijab off? Why is she afraid to take that off? Because it offends her religion. But she is willing to offend the very country that allows her to wear that, even in our Congress. Think about that, folks. We allow her religious views on the floor of the Senate or the Congress. We allow them to do that because our country is free. And she will honor her religion because she is free. But yet she will trash and bite the hand of the very country that gives her that ability. I have never seen so many American-hating representatives in our Congress as we have. And there's a bunch in the Senate, too. Think about that. There are a lot of haters of this country, and they haven't even read the Constitution. Unbelievable. I'm just like in shock. Shock and awe, baby. Shock and awe. Wow. There was a lot of things I didn't get to. Let's see. Landing on the moon. Don't forget the Mueller report is the 24th. That's Wednesday. When you're looking that up, that's going to be a hilarious thing to do. Let's see. Nancy and Chuck have absolutely lost their powers within the Senate or the Congress. They are absolutely bonkers. They're nuts. They've gone and lost it. You can tell Nancy has lost all her power. And Chuck is... You don't hear from these people anymore. Remember, they were on the news every hour of the day. They were criticizing, and we're going to take them and impeach these people, and we're going to do this, and we're going to do that. And they have gone by the way of the dodo. Unbelievable. And they are letting these four brand new people that have never been in Congress before run roughshod over the entire Congress. Unbelievable. I mean, they have, it would be like you're sitting down with your 6-year-old daughter, and your 6-year-old daughter is making accusations and accusing you of how you run your life. That's what it comes down to. All I know, folks, is we're about a minute away from the top of the hour, and it's the end of, once again, Russell Mays with Air America. Listen to me voice my opinions and all that kind of good stuff. Catch me again, 3 o'clock Sundays, right here, coast to coast on UNLV, 91.5 The Rebel, HD2 KUNV, Las Vegas, Nevada, broadcast services of UNLV. If you like what you heard, let me know. If you hate what you heard, let me know. I'll be reposting this on my website at radiorussell.net. Check it out. Have a lot of fun. Take care. Oh, look at that. Early warning system. The lights popped off. We have about 15 seconds, folks. I'm Russell Mays. I wish I had more time. Maybe we could get it extended one of these days. Who knows? But I love y'all. Y'all take care now. Bye-bye. Have a wonderful day.
Real electronic chill. 7